not much has happened in the last few weeks to a month, a little over, but the engine is sitting on the subframe. Subframe is located, everything is good. I used 1/2 inch all-thread rod to level the engine off, space it up as much as I need to just barely clear the cross member and the steering rack. The steering rack was more of a problem, hitting the oil pan. Still had plenty of clearance between the subframe. And what else? Oh, drive shafts back from Shaftmasters. Had to get that shortened because of the engine placement again. And I'm starting to work on the bars. Obviously that guy's going to run from here to here. Get the other side done. Then start making sure the exhaust is going to clear and get everything going on that side. Oh, come on now. Also got the rack all torn apart. Ordered the rebuild kit for it. Everything seems to be in good shape with the exception of the, I don't know if you can see those guys right here, but the hard lines were smashed to the tube nuts. And that's really going to be the only thing I got to fix. Everything else looks good. I got to replace one of these bolts. It was stripped out. So I'll get some new stuff. Put it in there. Got all white line poly bushings for the rack. And yeah, get that back together and have that ready to go back in. Not that it's going to matter. Like the truck's running. Also, played around with the ruck a little bit. Went ahead and transitioned that throttle body a lot better than it was. I don't know if you'd seen them before, but it was probably somewhere along the lines of that, where you had a nice thick wall around it. So I just put it on the lathe and turned, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 angles into it just to smooth it off going in there. This is a fuel injected Zuma 125. And if you know anything about rucks, this is a Met rear subframe because I'm building a mount for my buddy Jamie back in Orlando. And my subframe, or my rear frame, is right there, which is going to go on that. So that's just other things that have been going on. What else? Also picked up a fuel sending unit. It's an Autometer fuel sending unit, which I was going to use. And this guy, and I was going to have to punch another hole for this to go through, but what I'm actually going to do is just pull this sending unit off, and the mount for the fuel pump that's down in the tank already, I'm just going to, there's a smaller bracket you can see on the bottom, I'm just going to weld that bracket to the existing in here. That way there's not another hole in the fill, and the only difference I have to do is I have to get this guy, which was for 2 wires, and I just need to get the grommet that goes inside for 4 wires. That way I can run positive and negative for the fuel pump, and I can run the positive and negative for the sending unit. So I will have a fuel gauge, even though it's probably going to go really fast with an 8-gallon fuel cell in this thing, but oh well. And now, if you've been wondering why the progress has been slow on this, July 25th, my daily driver was totaled by a guy who ran a red light. Hit me and pushed me into somebody else, totaled my car. I hit a Dodge, I was hit by a Hyundai, so what I had to do is make a mad scramble to get another car because I'm in upstate New York and I'm not a fan of old rusty cars, and usually anything here that's over 10 years old is a rust box. So I found this guy in Orlando. 97 Impreza Outback Sport. 5-speed, so I don't drive an automatic anymore. It's awesome. Needs some work. First thing I did is peel all the old tint off it. It was the quintessential 90s tint job where it was purple. The rear windows, the tint was pulled off and they were just adhesive, so you couldn't really see through the back windows. And what else? Yeah, probably just end up putting wheels and tires on it. This will be the winter car. It drives great. It's still got a lot of torque for 214,000 miles. But it's literally just going through every little bit of it and taking the door panels off to do the tint on the windows, and then finding out that the speakers are mounted, the covers for the speakers that protect them from any moisture that gets inside the doors are on upside down, so they were basically acting like a catch pan for water. The speaker wire was pulled through the spade terminals on the speakers and just wrapped around them. So yeah, but it's a solid car. Probably end up pulling the engine in a year or two and rebuilding it just to keep it going, because it runs great. It's got a little bit of fender damage up here, but nothing that can't be fixed. So, and hopefully in October I will be on my way down to Georgia to pick up my truck from a good buddy of mine who's building it, as long as all this COVID stuff is under control. So let's see what's going on with that. See if I can get a picture or two to flash up of the truck. It's an in progress, so we'll see. So the next thing I gotta do is fab the mounts here. I'll probably end up pulling the engine back out again. Like Al says on the skid factory, what did he say, the 90th time they pulled the engine out? But like he also said, when you're doing stuff like this, the engine's going to come in and out multiple times to get stuff right. You might forget something, who knows, but hopefully now the progression will get back to normal, because with the COVID stuff that's going on now, the DMV is closed. It's by appointment only, so the problem was when I got in the car accident, I found the new car, but then I had a 2-week delay to get into the DMV, so I had to make a phone call to a friend. It pulled some strings and got me into the DMV in like a week's notice. But then the problem was I had to have the title signed, dated and everything, and overnighted to me in New York so that I could sign it, get to the DMV, get the plates, then overnight them back to Florida, because you had a very small window to make this happen where my buddies could drive the car up. And another thing I didn't mention about the car is it was straight piped from the guy they bought it from, so I was trying to not have my buddies drive a straight piped Subaru from Florida to New York to drop off for me. So between that, getting to the DMV, getting the plates, overnighting everything back and forth, then finding out because New York is different, I needed a bill of sale because the bill of sale on the title with the price wasn't good enough, so then I had to overnight some more stuff and have my buddy Jamie go out of his way again to go get that stuff, but everything worked out. The car's here and everything's kind of calming down now, so hopefully this thing will start rolling again. We'll see. I don't know.